9 out of the 11 new companies that were funded were based in the state of Nebraska. And then we were also able to do deals with 2 companies outside the state. One was in Chicago and Indianapolis. But so since it's a network, each member makes their own investment decision. That range of quote unquote check size is anywhere from $25,000 all the way up to the highest last year was $520,000 as well.
You're listening to the Venture Best Spotlight, a podcast by Venture Best, the venture capital and emerging companies practice group here at Michael Best and Friedrich. On this show, you'll hear from some of our amazing founder clients and network of venture capital managers. These individuals are inspiring instrumental changes to the way the venture economy produces, invests, does business, and defines what it means to be a startup.
Hi, I am Bart Dillashaw. I am one of the partners in Michael Best's Venture Best practice and specialize in working with early stage to-be venture-backed companies and located in the firm's Lincoln office. Super excited today to get to talk with Josh Bartles, who I have here with me, who is the executive director of the Nebraska Angels, which is the largest and most active angel group in the state of Nebraska. And I think, Josh, we're up there, I think maybe the most active in the Midwest at this point.
Yeah, we've been on the list for the ACA for a couple of years in a row now. So exciting stuff.
Yeah. So top 10 in national in terms of activity, which has been really exciting. I've been working with the Nebraska Angels, I think since 2010. So I've known that group for a long time and I'm excited to get to talk with you today, Josh. Maybe Josh, give a little bit of background on your role with the Angels and how you found yourself in that spot.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thanks for having me on. Yeah, background on me, I'm originally from Lincoln, moved up to Omaha for school, played golf at University of Nebraska, Omaha for 4 years. So go Mavs. I know we're recording this on the first day of March Madness, so hopefully they pull out a win tonight. But yeah, once I was in school at Omaha, really got sucked into the startup scene here in the city. I started going to 1 Million Cups, helping out with startup weeks. Scale Omaha is another nonprofit here in town that puts on events for founders, and just really enjoyed the ecosystem of what Omaha and Lincoln had to offer. Also had the opportunity to work for a couple now portfolio companies of Nebraska Angels. One of them was a sports tech company down in Lincoln called Open Doors, and then another one was up here in Omaha called Elevator. It's a co-warehousing concept here in the Midwest. So really enjoyed those 2 experiences of working for a startup, seeing the ins and outs of what it takes to build a company. Then once I graduated, I was able to work both with Bart and then also with our previous director of Nebraska Angels. And that was a lot of the event side of things, helping out with due diligence, sourcing deals, meeting with members. And then about a year ago, I was able to take over her role for director and been in the seat for about a year. And I really enjoyed, again, the startup ecosystem here in the state, but then really excited to see what the broader Midwest has to offer for startups and how can we utilize those resources for the companies that are building here at home.
Maybe go into a little bit about the structure of the group.
Yeah, for sure. So Nebraska Angels as an organization is a 501c6 nonprofit. So we're powered by member dues, sponsorships, and all that fun stuff. So my role is to help startups through our process, find those companies to pitch to our membership, but then also to find new investors in and around the state to jump in off the sidelines to support these companies in multiple different ways. We have about 100 different members a part of our group. 70 of those folks are individuals, which invest out of their own bank account. But then there's another 30 or so that support both on the financial side, but then also on the mentorship side as a corporate entity. So that includes Nelnet's been a core corporate within our group for probably since the beginning, and really appreciative of that organization. But then we also have like First National Bank, Mutual of Omaha, part of the group to help those companies that are building in those industries with mentorship, but then also checks here and there. So we host 11 monthly meetings throughout the year, usually bring 2 companies to present each month. And that's a great opportunity for the companies to tell their story, tell what they're building, but then also to network with the members in the group as well. We have a process in place. So our investing members will jump on before the monthly meeting to help vet the deal, ask questions, see if it's a fit for the broader group. And then post monthly meeting, each member can do their own due diligence, but then also write a check or see if it's a fit to be a mentor as well.
And what kind of companies are you looking at in terms of stage, size of investment? Maybe go into a little bit of that, and maybe we could talk a little bit about sort of like what's right for angels versus VCs and kind of where we fit in in the overall sort of deal space.
Yeah, yeah. So last year we were able to fund, our members were able to fund 22 different companies. So 9 out of the 11 new companies that were funded were based in the state of Nebraska. And then we were also able to do deals with 2 companies outside the state. One was in Chicago and Indianapolis. But so since it's a network, each member makes their own investment decision. That range of quote unquote check size is anywhere from $25,000 all the way up to the highest last year was $520,000 as well for a new company. A couple of our members actually participated in a Series B for a med tech company out of California, which in aggregate was about $2.5 million. So super interesting to see those out of state companies succeed, but then also be able to support those in state companies to see their path and their journey.
Yeah. So I think the last stats that I saw is that on average, when the Nebraska Angels come to a deal, they're probably putting in about 300 to 400,000, and then we've done as little as I think 25,000, and as much as I think 3 million may have been.
Yep.
We've gone up to multiple millions before. Nothing like five, but the capacity is there. It's just a lot, which I think is a good way to sort of contrast an angel group from like a VC fund. I guess what other, for those out there that are sort of looking at either getting investment from a VC fund or an angel fund, maybe talk about some of the differences, why someone may want to go to an angel fund versus a VC fund or vice versa.
Yeah, part of it's probably location. Money doesn't grow on trees, maybe as it does out in Silicon Valley in New York, but neither are bad places to build companies. But there's definitely more interaction with companies over the course of all of the venture firms and angel groups in the Midwest. Part of it's for venture capital firms, they place a shot clock on you. So they are looking to get a return on their money, to return some sort of multiple to their LPs. And with angels, I think they're a little bit more lenient on that. Obviously, they're still looking for that 10x return in 3 to 5 to 7 years, I would say, but a lot more often than not, angels aren't wanting companies to be pushed to exit. It's more of what's best for the company, but then also how can the company be successful maybe later down the line as well.
Yeah, I think one of the key differentiators, just in terms of like the members, is the angels are investing their own money for themselves versus funds or managing money for others. So just inherently, I think angels want to get their hands in there a little bit more. They want to try to be helpful. They want to be more connected to the companies, and frankly, are often a little more sort of ecosystem minded than a fund. Maybe like they're the only thing they're allowed to consider is sort of return on investment.
Right.
Angels, because they're investing their own money, can look at any factors they want to.
Yeah, and there's a couple members part of our group that are part of the boards of the companies as well. Probably 2 or 3 folks, and obviously we don't lead rounds, but so it's our board seat's not written into the term sheet. Although there's been multiple times where it's been a good fit for one of our members to join that board. For example, medical device company that came through 2 years ago, and so that mentorship piece is also helpful too for those that have built within a specific industry, if that's anywhere from manufacturing all the way to building a B2B software company. There's opportunities to tap on those individuals for mentorship and an advisor in the future.
Yeah, and I know this is something that you and I have talked about in the past, and it's one of your big sort of initiatives as well. Obviously, we're in Nebraska, which is not probably the first state that comes to mind when you're thinking about a hotbed of VC activities. Talk about trying to team up with the broader region, how to get sort of our community connected with other communities, how to team up with other angel groups or other regions. What does that look like? Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? What's been working? What hasn't?
Sure. Yeah. Excuse me. So I don't know when this syndicate was established. It was definitely before my time. So each month, a group of us run a Midwest Angel Syndicate call. So I think there's about 20 different angel groups and operators on the phone or on the calendar invite, and then we pull a good chunk of those to the call each month to basically talk shop about what's it like to be an angel group operator, and what challenges are we going through, how can we be helpful to each other, but then also to share deals too. I think that's been a really good way to angel groups in Minnesota, Colorado, Iowa, Kansas to gain more visibility into Nebraska and our ecosystem, but then also are the companies that are building here within the state, and then vice versa too. Like we don't just focus on Nebraska companies for our deal flow and process, but I do think it's super interesting to see those companies building outside the state in Chicago, Kansas City, different regions around the U.S.
And just not to get into all the details of the results, but in general, is it working? Is it possible to raise a successful startup in Nebraska or the Midwest? Do you feel like companies are doing well here, not doing well? Have there been any successes for the angels?
Yeah, yeah. One that comes to mind is Company Cam based in Lincoln. They've been probably one of the best company that's come through our group, and they had a secondary here a couple of years ago. But yeah, it's possible for sure. One of the other benefits too of this Midwest region push to meet with other angel groups and venture firms is when they raise their next round of funding. Typically, a warm introduction is a lot better than a cold LinkedIn reach out by a founder. We started building those relationships pretty heavily this last year, and we've seen that pay off pretty well. Being able to refer startups and founders to these venture capital firms is super beneficial, especially if they want to raise a Series A or Series B round. And Company Cam throw them into the bucket again, and they've done a really good job with building their company, and our members have enjoyed that too.
Yeah, that's been a good one. I think Huddle was another sort of big success that goes back a few years, but that's turned into a really successful company. I think they've got like a 95% market share, certainly for high school sports video analytics. So that's been a fun one to watch grow as well. I guess for those companies that are interested in pitching to an angel group, do you have any advice for them for how to present themselves, things they should know before going to angels to look for money? Is it the same as VCs? Are there differences that they should be mindful of?
Yeah. At least for our group, I think it's super important to have a sense of product market fit or a direction of who you're going to sell to. I think a lot of times it's easy in the early stages of a startup to poke on many different markets, and sometimes you may have to get that initial interest. I would say when companies come through our group, it's super beneficial to have that maybe one or two target markets to really sell to and tap on. It seems like there's been a lot more interest in funded companies when that's the case for our group, and I think angel groups are in the same boat across the Midwest as well. Other things is it's definitely a relationship building exercise for pitching to an angel group, just probably like a VC as well. Although for angel groups, there's multiple people in the room and you are pitching to each person differently. Although there's ways to tailor your pitch in a way to appeal to that scalable 10x return in the future business model, but then also ways to bring it back to the local community. If that's building here in Nebraska, I know some of our members appreciate that. Some of our members also appreciate those companies that are building outside the state as well. So, it's a little bit of a mix of both, but I think the main overhanging piece of advice is having that sense of direction of who you're going to sell to with your MVP or product.
Yeah, I think we've also noticed it also does help if you have a lead investor or at least a champion within the group. And I think one of the criticisms of angels is that because they are not professional investors investing every day, like they can sometimes be a little reactionary, a little slow to move. So I think we found in our group that to be the case a little bit as well. So it certainly does help if you can come in with a lead investor, or at least sort of a champion that sort of already outlines some terms that they're willing to invest in. We found that the angels are really good at sort of being the last $500,000 or $1 million into the company as opposed to the first. They certainly have led deals, or frankly a little bit better if it's like a follow-on offering. On the flip side of it, it's probably easier to get follow-on money out of angels if they're already in than a VC. That's been another thing that we've learned, that any type of company can kind of wind up or limit their sales. That also helps.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I would say it does differ for like some angel groups will lead rounds of funding, and some do want to be the first money in or even pre-product. So it's definitely definitely important to talk to the operator or the angel that you're looking to raise money from to see what are they looking for, if that's a lead, if that's product market fit, if that's X amount of revenue, all important factors to consider.
Yeah, for sure. If anybody out there is like looking to start their own angel group, let's say that we got somebody listening in from a region that doesn't have a strong angel group. I mean, any advice for them on, is this easy to do? Is it hard to do? I guess I think the Nebraska Angels were initially founded in 2006. So that organization has been around for a while now as well. So just general thoughts on running an angel group.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Nebraska Angels was set up really well since John Brash was the individual that started Nebraska Angels in 2006. And there's been multiple directors to put us in a good position till now. So thankful for that. Yeah, I would say the main thought is it's great to have a member's friend join in on the meetings, also join and then eventually invest alongside that friend. So there is definitely a trust and culture dynamic that needs to happen within the angel group in order for the masses to write checks. If Bart's going to write a check, I might pay attention more to the company if I'd be interested in also writing a check. So being conscious about what that looks like and building that connectivity between the members, I think is super important. And then also too having those core members within the group to help push the needle and push the snowball down the hill. There's a couple folks in our group. Invest Nebraska is one, the state-funded VC here in the state, and then also Nelnet too. Those are always great partners to have within an organization to not just share diligence, but then also to start to gain that momentum in a startups fundraise, and then also to push more members to your group as well. So I think, at least I'll speak on our group, we've done a really good job of strategically building relationships with those in the broader ecosystem, if that's different venture capital firms, if that's corporate venture firms, or even just corporate companies. There's a lot of benefit of doing that as well, rather than staying in a small individual group of maybe 10 to 15 folks.
Yeah, I think I know our biggest piece of advice to all new angels that come in is to try to invest in as many different deals as possible. There's a lot of the name of the game at the early stages is to diversify and get into a whole lot of deals rather than trying to pick the one or two or even 10 winners. And so to that end, it certainly helps if you have a lot of folks that are coming through to give you a lot of different books on stuff. I guess while we're talking about it, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, how do you feel about the market right now? Any sort of general trends that you're seeing? Are you feeling good about deal flow? How's it looking?
Yeah. In terms of deal flow, it was definitely slower last year around this time. Like building the relationships with those Midwest firms have been super helpful to tap on them and also build the relationship to receive deal flow. But now since it's picked up, at least in Nebraska, it's vice versa. So there's other regions in the Midwest that are curious to see Nebraska deals. So that's always exciting to see. There doesn't seem to be many liquidity events in the last year or two, maybe more, which may have slowed the amount of people either investing into companies as an angel, but then also as a venture capital investment as well, or a private equity investment. But I think that hopefully this year it seems to be some turnaround with some companies exiting, hopefully within our portfolio as well. And that should get more people back into the game and excited about venture investing. I think we got too far over our skis in 2020 and 2021 in venture, and now we're kind of riding the small wave back to seems like valuations are lowering a little bit, although I don't know if there's a lot of rounds being done on like a safe note, which may start to turn here as there's little capital that's being deployed to these startups by these funds or by angels. That might be one of the switches that would happen in the next couple of years, but I'd love to hear your thoughts too.
Yeah, no, I think there's just a lot of uncertainty generally in the market. Though, at least from everything that we're seeing within the firm, it's getting a little harder to raise. Certainly at the Series A stage, I think is a particularly tight spot, and like doubly so if you raised at a elevated valuation in your last round during that sort of 2023 time period when valuations were up. You're seeing a lot of companies that have tripled revenues, but are probably doing a flat or slight up rounds. At the earlier stages, we're seeing seems to be slow and steady, especially in the Midwest. I guess maybe that's another question to talk about the difference between sort of the Midwest versus the coasts. Obviously, there's the vast majority of venture activity takes place, on the coastal regions. But is it the same here, just smaller, or do you see any other differences in the way that deals are getting done, or the types of companies, any other sort of structural differences between sort of what you see on the coast versus what you see here in the Midwest?
Yeah. Valuations are definitely lower here in Nebraska and the Midwest, which, interesting enough, talking to some broader Midwest and U.S. venture firms, some firms will be located in San Francisco and New York and only invest into Midwest regions because of the prices. So that's an interesting perspective that I've never really thought about before until this last year. But yeah, valuations are a lot lower. And I'm not sure if, obviously AI is talked about quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if Nebraska or Midwest investors are getting behind AI as much as coastal cities and venture firms are. But there are some companies here and there that do receive funding that's AI based. But that'd be the other thing too. And then to combine that with how risky folks want to be with their money in the Midwest compared to the coast, because Nebraska, I would say, is pretty conservative compared to San Francisco for writing angel checks or investing into venture capital firms or whatnot. So that also plays a role in you see an AI company building. Is this something that I would like to put my chip in? And that's, I guess, up to each individual investor.
Yeah. Well, cool. I guess thanks for meeting with us today. Any other sort of like parting words of wisdom for either folks out there looking to apply to the Nebraska Angels or other angel groups out there? How do folks get in touch with you? What else should they know?
Yeah. Yep. You can find me on LinkedIn. I think my tagline is just Josh Bartles. And then, for Nebraska Angels, nebraskaangels.org. We have a website full of our process, our criteria, our portfolio to dig into some of the companies that we've funded since 2006. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and happy to chat.
And that's a wrap on today's show. Thank you for listening to the Venture Best Spotlight. Don't miss another episode. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube today. And if you really enjoyed today's content, please take a moment to rate and review the episode on your favorite podcast platform. Have a great day.